Now, the Princess Diana inquest this week has seen a demand for an apology, an admission of lying, and the jury being told the Queen regularly has Buckingham Palace swept for bugs. Martin Gregory, author of Diana: The Last Days, takes us through the evidence.
A surreal week at the inquests. We heard of MI6 murders plotted and covered up by lords of the realm, and from a renegade spy about a flash before the crash, and from another lord who spent the last few years investigating conspiracy theories that surround Diana's death. Sir Michael Jay was the British ambassador to Paris in 1997 and in the front line of the UK government's response to the tragedy. Now, Lord Jay, he denied on Monday he'd ordered the embalming of Diana's body to disguise a possible pregnancy by Dodi. According to Mr. Al-Fayed, another lord was in the British Embassy in Paris on the night of the crash, plotting murder. It was none other than Diana's brother-in-law, Robert Fellows, the Queen's private secretary at the time. Lord Fellows told the court he'd been in Norfolk, not in Paris that night. He denied involvement in any plot to kill the princess and was not challenged on this point by Mr. Al-Fayed's lawyers. A former MI6 man, Richard Tomlinson, gave evidence on Wednesday from Marseille. When he was released from prison for breaking the Official Secrets Act, Tomlinson had told Mr. Al-Fayed that MI6 could have used a high-tech flash gun to blind Diana's driver. He said he'd seen an MI6 document in 1992 that proposed assassinating a Balkan leader in a similar way. However, Tomlinson admitted he might have got it wrong and could provide no evidence to back up his flash before the crash claim. He told the inquest, "I certainly never saw any plan to assassinate the subject of this inquest. It would be institutionally very difficult to carry out an assassination." Real drama came at the end of the week. Lord Stevens gave evidence on Thursday about his 3-year-long investigation into the conspiracy theories concerning Diana's death. The former Met Chief's inquiry resulted in the Paget report, a weighty tome which concludes her death was a tragic accident. Mohammed Al-Fayed claims it forms part of an establishment cover-up. There were ill-tempered exchanges between Lord Stevens and Richard Keane QC, who represents the parents of Henri Paul. Lord Stevens' meeting with Monsieur and Madame Paul in 2006 formed the focus of much of his cross-examination. Mr. Keane alleged Lord Stevens told the couple their son was not drunk at the time of the crash. However, when the Paget report was published a few weeks later, it agreed with the French finding that Henri Paul was 3 times over the French drink-drive limit when he died. Later, Lord Stevens was asked if he'd been got at by the establishment to change his findings at the last moment. His response? "To think I would even contemplate that and take a team of 14 or 15 officers. The whole French investigation, along with that, is absolutely absurd and crazy. Allegations trip off people's tongues. It's not right. We want an apology." The hostilities continued. Mr. Al-Fayed's former security chief, John McNamara, took his turn in the witness stand. Under cross-examination, the former Scotland Yard detective, seen here in the white shirt and grey tie, made a series of important admissions. Firstly, that he'd lied about how much Henri Paul had had to drink on the night of the crash. That there was no evidence that Diana was pregnant. No evidence that she and Dodi were engaged. And he said the Duke of Edinburgh had not been involved. Next week will be another defining point in the inquest into the deaths of Princess Diana and Dodi Al-Fayed. We'll hear from his father, Mohammed, who claims the couple were the victims of state-sponsored murder at the hands of MI6. And from Sir Richard Dearlove, the head of MI6 at the time. Sparks will fly.